Hello, my name is Bahatiland, and having started martial arts training more than 25 years ago, I'd often contemplate which martial discipline was the deadliest of them all. This painstaking pursuit brought me face to face with Pencak Silat, Indonesia's fighting art. Shrouded in magic and mystery, these secretly taught tribal systems are as beautiful as they are deadly. From the beginning, my training was hard and brutal. Fortunately, my first teacher believed in making his students combat ready in a short period of time. It is from Pendekar Jim Ingram's Mustika Kuitang that I developed a sturdy Silat base. Rooted in fundamentals, Pendekar Ingram's art taught us that the best self-defense is simple, effective, and deadly. After completing what was asked of me, I was then introduced to Haidang Sifu Willem de Trois from the famous Selim Pai clan. Uncle Willem, as he is affectionately called, teaches a pulverizing Chinese-Indonesian art. Through Willem and his #1 student, Guru George Morin, a strong set of Kuntao principles have been imparted. Kuntauers are renowned in Indonesia for their bone-breaking attributes. For without Mr. Ingram, his wonderful wife Connie, Uncle Willem, and his wife Aunt Joyce, my Silat training would have never elevated. The Ingram family and other Dutch Indonesian families, like the Goosens and the Monteros and the Faruches, helped me every step of the way. These warm and wonderful people gave me the strength and the nourishment for my journey that lay ahead. I began to wonder if there was more to this unknown tribal heritage. With my teacher's blessings, I ventured onward into uncharted territory. And just like any early explorer, I began to realize that what I had uncovered was only the tip of the iceberg. What I found lurking beneath the surface were tribal odysseys so secret and so obscure that even today, the outside world knows little of their existence. Indonesia is an island nation stretching between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. It covers a land and sea area of over 2 million miles. These 17,000 islands, 6,000 which are inhabited, hold a diverse array of ethnic and religious cultures. The large island of Sumatra was on the path of a well-traveled trade route. The city of Palembang was a stopover for the first Indian Buddhist monks propagating Mahayana Buddhism. These spiritual satellites encountered headhunters and cannibals. And even today, The largest known monument dedicated to Buddhism, Borobudur, still exists. It is a major attraction in central Java. This temple defies description. After the first Buddhists came, Hindu cultures followed. With the onset of Indianized values, art, music, and medicine flourished, even as early as the 6th century BC. The Hindus were a powerful people. Silat was only to be practiced by the nobility and the warrior caste. The Sudra or commoner had no privy to this coveted information. And in the 12th and 13th centuries, Islam sprang up around many port cities in Java, spreading via its waterway arteries like a blood transfusion. And it wasn't long before the cry Allah Akbar would shatter the early morning dawn. This new belief system was readily accepted because in Indian culture, you could never elevate beyond your birth status. In Islamic belief, all men are created equal in the eyes of God. By the 15th century, the Portuguese established one of the first trading posts, to be followed up by the Dutch. And in the 16th century, Islam had such a firm hold on the major populace that even today, 87% of Indonesia's people are Muslim. The Dutch took over and ruled Indonesia with an iron hand for over 400 years. But it wasn't until the War of Independence in 1945 that the Indonesians received their freedom from Dutch tyranny. It was with this newfound freedom, this ethnically diverse nation prospered. From the Asmati to the Ambonese, and from the Torajas to the Dayaks, there are 213 million people who inhabit Indonesia's vast island nation. The Republic of Indonesia, as it is called today, has many ethnic and tribal varieties. The largest ethnic groups are for the majority contained but not limited to the island of Java. The Javanese make up 45% of the nation's populace, followed by West Java's Sundanese tribe, which hold a 14% share. Madura lies in close proximity to Java, and the Maduris fall into the 7 percentile group. Coastal Malay people take in another 7% of the pie, while countless other ethnic people all combined total in at a 26%. Religion is a present-day Indonesia is still a major determining factor. And in everyday life, for the most part, they are Muslim. There still exists, however, a small percentage of Christian, Hindu, and Buddhist followers. Tribal and animistic believers take up only 1%. These tropical, humid coastal lowlands are continually plagued with tsunamis, earthquakes, and severe drought conditions. And over time, these occurrences have affected the migration of Indonesia. Let it be noted that my introduction to the Cimande village and to the Sundanese came exclusively from Pendekar Herman Swanda and his mother, who is from that tribe and from that village born there. And starting in West Java, the fierce and mighty Sundanese villages can be seen dotting the hillside. It is here that the Sundanese Penjat Silat was born. The village of Cimande is credited as being the birthplace of this systematized tribal warfaring art. This art emanates around and from the West Java area. Cimande is a fighting art believed to have been developed in the 13th century by its founder, Pak Kair. It is said that Pak Kair created this devastating hand and arm system while standing chest high in the village river. Needing footwork that enabled him to advance forward in the river's fast current was no easy task. And each time he removed his feet, From the river's bottom, the force of the current propelled him backwards. No matter how hard he tried, and irregardless of his foot maneuvers, moving forward was just short of impossible. Each time, he was propelled backwards by the mighty force of the river. It was at this time, almost ready to give up, Pak Kair decided to yield to the oncoming force and stayed rooted to the bottom of the river by sliding off center and backwards. To train his lightning-fast strikes, his body was submerged chest-high, giving his arms and his hands freedom to powerfully slap the surface of the water. Chimamanda stylists prefer breaking bones with the forearm and elbows as well. Many injuries occur during these realistic training sessions. To increase bone density and strength, an almost magical tribal concoction made of herbs was applied. Throughout all of Indonesia, the Cimande village is heralded as the best when it comes to treatment of orthopedic injuries. This herbal mixture, or balur as it is called, has remained unavailable to outsiders, and for good reason. After a secret induction ceremony designed to open my eyes to the things that I cannot see, I was allowed an opportunity to visit the village hospital with the head doctor, or dukun as he's called, which is a spiritual leader. What I saw bordered the unbelievable. Some of the worst broken legs and broken arms I've ever witnessed were miraculously held together with surgically inserted bamboo slithers. These makeshift pins and applications of this bone-mending medicine assured a swifter than normal, speedy recovery. I too had the misfortune of a broken right thumb, broken 6 months earlier during a brutal training session. The village dukun offered to treat me, for it is with his unique healing method he applied balur and his inner power, or tenaga dalam. My whole arm and hand began to tingle as he touched me. But little did I know that his plan was to re-break my thumb so I could regain mobility. I'll tell you, nothing equates the pain endured. But in the end, and even to date, the thumb works fine. Pendekar Herman Suwanda escorted me on a trip. He had planned this trip to the Chiwaruga village. This was a ceremony that was moved several times so it could remain out of reach to the other outside villagers who might want to cause problems. The Chiwaruga village is renowned for its Chikalong Pinjat Silat. And what you are seeing is a midnight demonstration lit only by the fluorescent lights. In the old days, Silat was secretly practiced by candlelight as to avoid detection by enemy forces or opposing villages. Pendekar Suwanda's Mande Muda is a system developed by his father, who is one of the fierce fighters responsible for ousting the Dutch in 1947's War of Independence. Herman's father combined 18 different Silat systems, most centered around the numerous West Java styles. But for a well-rounded approach, several Sumatran fighting systems were added as well. The elder Swanda passed away, leaving Herman as his sole inheritor and the new Guru Basar. Pendekar Suwanda continued to add new and pertinent information, thus creating a truly effective and eclectic art. At the Bandung Base School in Indonesia, Pendekar Suwanda's younger brother Bang Bang is head instructor. It is an alarmingly small space for so many students, but Mahaguru Bang Bang students are an excellent example of what this fine fighting art produces. Through repetition and a constant tutorial eye, Mande Muda's Indonesian-based school has a razor-edge sharpness. On one of my many Bandung excursions, sponsored by Herman Swanda, I had the great and unparalleled pleasure to meet and learn from a living Penjat Silat legend. His name was Aki the Invincible. Well into his 90s when I first met him, he remains a vivid focal point in my life, for never have I met a stronger, more exhilarating teacher than Aki. His system of Silat is named Sikal Pusaka, which loosely translates into holy dust. What follows is so amazing that it actually defies description. Upon meeting Aki, I instantly felt paternal vibrations. Anointing me and receiving his Islamic blessings, my emotions were stirred and also my soul. With infinite Silat knowledge, Aki demonstrated things I have never, ever seen before. My questions upon observation centered around his incredible abilities for a man his age. No one has equaled Aki in strength and invulnerability in my eyes to this day. Showing me footwork and applicable variations left me, at the very least, astounded. Even at 90-something, you could still hear the air part at his powerful punches. Showing us drills to improve our understanding of how to escape from locks and grabs was literally uncanny. Here we watch as Aki performs magic. I encourage you to get a short dowel rod and try this one yourself. He repeatedly performed maneuvers that a man 50 years his junior could not equal. Later, Aki explained what these drills were for. Knowing exactly where your hands are in battle in direct correspondence to your head and your body positioning. I then asked Guru Basar Aki how he remained so invigorated and so vitalized. He just smiled and said, by his innumerable intimate associations with the opposite sex. With hands and arms of steel, he continued to enlighten us. Talon-like strength comes from the bottle exercise, he said, running the fingers from the top to the bottom and back again. And after mastery of this feat, the empty bottle is then filled with water. When this becomes easy, the initiate should then substitute water with sand and ultimately lead shot and concrete. Talk about ripping and tearing power unmatched or unparalleled anywhere. But his real supernatural ability generated by his Tenaga Dalam or internal power exhibited itself in his ability to not be penetrated by metal objects such as knives and swords. Now sit back and closely watch. You make the judgment call for yourself. I was so blessed to witness this firsthand. There will never be another kinder, more spiritual person to walk this planet. What great man, what a character Aki was. He has since passed away and gone unto the great beyond, leaving behind a rich, tribal, cultural legacy.